all my crafting besties. This is Amanda, the card making coach, and I'm coming to you from my craft room where it's a really wet and windy day. So I thought we would make a Christmas card. Even though the weather isn't snow, why not? Today we'll be making a very simple card. We don't need any stamps, anything special for this. We can amp it up if we like, but today we'll just be concentrating on the basics. So you don't need anything special for this. And just come along, follow me, and we'll make a great card together. All right, everybody. So great that you can join me. I'm going to be making a Christmas card today. You don't need any special tools, like I said in the beginning. This is a layout that I found on Pinterest. And typically, I do enjoy Pinterest card layouts. Sometimes when you go to their blog, all the measurements are not quite there. You look at the card and you look at the sketch and you think, there's just a few things missing. So we're going to go over that today. This is the card. It's very simple, very easy, nothing complicated about it. Even though it took me a little while to get the hang of all the cuts, it was pretty good. It's a nice little card, great for anybody, anyone who is far away maybe and you would like to send them something. This one is really easy. It's flat, not a whole lot of raised up portions of this, so perfect for mailing. So the first thing I'm going to do is go over the card base. So you can do this card one of two ways. You can have it this way, portrait style. This one's called portrait style, sits up like that. Or you can have it the other way, which is landscape style. So first we'll go with the portrait style. So for the portrait style, I took a piece of 12 by 12 paper cardstock and I cut it at 11 inches across this way and then 4.5 inches this way. Now, if you want it to have your card in the landscape, you would cut it a little bit differently. You would cut it at 8.5 inches here, turn it, and then cut it at 5.5 inches there. We'll just put that to the side. That's our little post-it note. So last time I spoke about tools. You don't really need any tools for this if you don't have them. You can use a scoreboard, paper trimmer. If you don't have a paper trimmer yet, I do suggest you get one. They're invaluable when you want to make a card and great for making all your straight cuts. Yes, you can go with scissors and a ruler, but we all know how that turned out the last time, so it's not always the best choice. So if you can get even just an inexpensive one from Walmart or even your local dollar store for now until you can get a better one, that'd be a great one. That'd be a great choice. So we're going to take our card and we're going to fold it until our lines meet, corners meet. And I like to put my 2 fingers on the corner so it doesn't move. And I'm going to take my bone folder, which we talked about in my tool video. You can go back and watch that if you haven't watched it already. Or you can take your finger and push down the middle. And we're going to go across to get that nice crease. You can do this with your finger if you don't have a bone folder, but a bone folder is definitely a wonderful thing to have. Okay, next I'm going to show you the 8.5 by 5.5, and we are scoring it at 4.25. This time I'm going to use my scoreboard, in case anybody has a scoreboard out there that they would like to use. This one is my 12 by 12 scoreboard. Fantastic for making all kinds of different cards, fun fold cards, just regular cards. You can really whip through a lot of cards if you're making all your bases at once and then just putting them to the side so that you can have it for later. So because the side of this card is 8.5 inches, this is how we want to have our card, right up in the corner. and we're going to go over here to the 4 1/4 mark, which is right here. And I'm going to place my bone folder in the little divot here, and I'm going to go straight down. I like to put my bone folder this way, straight up and down. It gives more control, because if you go this way and have it down like this, sometimes your hand can have a tendency to wiggle. So if you have your hand on your cardstock this way and you press down and you come along here, you're more likely to get a straight line. And then if you want, you can tuck your card up here, fold it, turn it over, tuck your card in the corner, fold it over, and press. There we go. So this is our 2 cards side by side. We have our portrait, which flips up. And then we have our landscape one, which I call it a landscape. Maybe that's probably not the right word, but goes this way. Okay, I'm not sure if I showed you the actual finished card. If I didn't, this is it. Like I said, this was some kind of a layout I found on Pinterest, and while the layout and the sketch was there for the layout, some of these measurements were not there. So it leaves a person who is brand new to this wondering, well, what am I missing? Why is there no measurement for this back panel here that goes around? There was nothing there, but back panel was on the picture. So I would like to kind of clarify that for you. So what I did with this one is I took a piece of cardstock, the exact same color as the card base, and I cut it to 4 by 5 1/4, like this, 4 by 5 1/4. So that's our panel. So we have our card base, we have our panel, and now we want to work on these circles. So you're probably wondering how I did this circle. I usually use a set of dies for this. I'll show you what I used to cut earlier. Let's see here. Just going to put this over here to the side. So this circle was cut with a metal die and my die machine at 3.5 inches. This was what was written on the layout. And then this is the circle below that at 3 1/4 inches. And you see they fit nicely and has a nice little scalloped edge to it. But if you don't have a die cut machine, you can easily make your own circles. I made my own circles here, and I use the bottom of a jar and the lid of a jar. So all you have to do is find a jar or a plate, a very small plate, or the bottom of a mug, anything you have at home that can make the circle for you. And all I did was pencil around and use my scissors and cut around. Easy as that. It's not going to be perfect as if you would put it through a die cutting machine, but we want to start out slow and we want to make sure that you're getting all the basics before you move on to anything that's a little bit more complicated. So we have our card base, our back panel. I'm going to use these because they're already cut out. The circles. And now we want to look at this piece here. This piece here was a little bit more complicated to make, but that's okay. It's still fairly easy to do. When I looked at the card layout, it had the measurement for this piece of paper. It did not have the measurement for this back panel. So you can see where if you're a new person who is making cards and you're a beginner, that you would be very confused by this and probably pretty easily give up and say, well, I can't do that. That's too complicated. But you just have to look at it and say, okay, well, there's something behind there. So we need to have something behind there to break up this white from this background here. So what I did was I took a piece of the same color cardstock and I cut this one to 1¼ inches wide. And then I put another piece at 1 inch wide. And what I mean by wide, obviously, is this way. 1¼ and then 1. And what I'm going to do is, before I stick any of my pieces down onto my card base, I didn't do it with this one, which I should have done, but I'm going to take these two pieces and stick them together with my handy dandy glue runner. So I'm just going to go along here a little bit. Doesn't matter if you go over the edge because we're going to be cutting these ends off. And then I have my self-healing mat here. I'm going to take these measurements away because it's probably a little bit distracting. Let's put those over there for now. And always great to have some sort of mat, or if you don't have a mat, grab a piece of paper. Grid paper would be great. That has lines so that you can get a nice straight line. And I'm going to take this, and sometimes you even might want to go this way. A little bit more difficult for me because I'm left-handed, but I'm just going to try to plop that right down the middle as best I can and swipe over it a few times just to make that stick. And now I'm going to take, as you can see, this is angled up, so we have to cut our pieces of paper at an angle. So what I did, what I should have done, I should say, before I stuck anything down, was take my 4 by 5¼ panel that goes on the front of this card base and line up where I want to put my strip that goes across here. Now, if you like, you can take your circles, put them behind, see where you want your placement, like this. Maybe a little bit lower. That looks okay. You could even stick this down if you want to. Might be a bit easier just to pull this out. Keep your fingers there. Try pulling it out a little. So we want to put it here. So I'm going to just flip this over. Put my glue runner on. And if it moves from the position, it's, not that big of a deal. And, oh, definitely. See, I caught myself. I need to put this behind here before I can glue it down, right? So, what can I tell you? I have a special brain. So I'm just going to put some glue runner here. Put these circles together. Push that off a little bit. And I'm going to put my circle in the middle. You can turn it diagonal, straight, up and down, however you like. I kind of like it diagonal, like a little bit diagonal like that. I think that looks kind of good. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm lining it up. And I'm going to make it a little bit diagonal. And I'm going to secure that down. And now we can go in with our paper, with our strip. Much easier to figure out where I want to put this when this is down. We all make mistakes. I've been doing this for a very long time, and every single time I come in here, I always make a little boo-boo here or there. Sometimes I have to rip the whole card apart just to fix it, and that's okay. That's how you learn, and that's how you grow. So I'm just going to put this on an angle that looks good to me. Push it down. And now when we flip it over, I can take my scissors and go along here and just cut this off. So I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to snip it off. There we go. Turn it over. Take my scissors and snip. There we go. Throw those pieces away. Those are no good. And now we'll bring our card base back in. And we're a little loose here, so we could take our glue runner and sneak it under there if we can. It's nice to make sure everything is stuck down properly. So now I'm going to take my glue runner, go across all four sides. I think I'm running out of this one. I might have to get another one. And I just like to do a little one down the middle. Okay. And then as best you can, I don't like to come down flat like this. When you're putting your panel onto your card base, come in at an angle when you're using glue runner, because if you stick down like this, it's going to stay and you're never going to be able to get it back up. Well, you could, but you might rip your paper. So come in here on a little bit of an angle, and as best you can, try to get it centered. There we go. Beautiful. And now I have a little sentiment that came in a paper pad. I'll show you the paper pad. This is the paper pad that I'm using. Holiday Tidings from Recollections. I picked this up at Michael's. Great cardstock. I've already used a bunch, as you can see. It had plenty of different greetings to use. So something like this is going to be super easy for someone who is just starting out and doesn't feel too confident with all the stamping and everything. We would definitely get into stamping. Probably in my next video, I'm going to start looking at stamping. But this paper was really great. Perfect. All kinds of different patterns. Love it. I don't know about anybody else on here, but I love the smell of paper. It might be a little strange, but that's just me. So, okay, getting on with it. Now we're going to put our sentiment on. And how I chose my sentiment for this was, if I bring this one back in, my little pearl fell off, but that's okay. We're just gonna stick her back on there. That's all right. We can always put a little glue on that later. So for this one, I have gold and I have like a cream color here, and I tried to keep the theme going with this. And then when I have the red and a little bit of purple and blue, I decided to pull a red sentiment in order to just bring that red out and make it pop a little bit. And if you choose to do that, you can. And if not, well, that's okay too, because this is about what you want and what you like. You don't have to follow all the biggest trends of card making. Card making is about expression. It's about just taking your own creativity and putting it down and taking nothing, basically, a piece of paper, and making something beautiful out of it. So, okay, so here we go. We're going to put it on around the middle, push it down. And I think I have some, these are flat back pearls. So they're adhesive on one side, and then you have your pearl on the other. So I'm just going to get my little handy dandy pokey tool. This is the pokey tool I was talking about the other day. And I'm going to come up under my half back pearl here and just place it down here on the bottom. And sometimes these little embellishments do need some help. Sometimes the adhesive that's on them is not the best. not the greatest. So if you want to give it a little help by adding a glue dot, I have little glue dots here that can be used. These are double-sided. I'm not sure where I got these. I think perhaps I might have gotten them in a paper pumpkin kit from Stampin' Up! But you could probably find these in a store somewhere. But they're great. They're double-sided little glue dots, and they go perfectly right under all these little tiny small embellishments. So those are great. And that's it for now. We have 2 different Christmas cards. Wonderful. I hope you followed along with me, the card making coach. Please like and subscribe and stay tuned for my next video where we will talk about stamping and inks, and we're going to get right into it. I think we've done all the basic things that we can do with cards, so let's amp it up for the next episode. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.